Happy Saturday night, everyone. This is Jason with a bonus episode of What If I Told You? What if I told you that a significant Venezuelan population lives in a corner of southeastern Texas and they are largely here legally? That's correct. They're here legally. Now you hear all the news stories about Venezuelans in other parts of the country who are here illegally. But the Venezuelans in the Katy metro region of southeastern Texas are a different breed. And here's how they got here legally. Katy is nicknamed Katyzuela because of this influx. And most of these individuals who immigrated here throughout the 1990s and early 2000s arrived there because they were hired by the energy companies of the Houston Energy Corridor, which is a stretch of Interstate 10 which links, the 610 loop of Houston with the Katy region. Now, so the Venezuelans were hired by, ExxonMobil, Conoco, not even Chevron. Chevron's a recent addition to the region, but BP, etc., were hired there because of their geographical oil exploration expertise. What most people probably don't know is that despite Venezuela's dire economic situation these days, in the 1980s and probably even before, Venezuela was one of the most dominant energy producers in the world. They still do sit on the largest oil reserves, recoverable oil energy reserves in the world, in the southern portion of the Caribbean Sea off of their northern shores. Now, and you're wondering, okay, well, how did it get this bad that, their people are now starving with all of this wealth offshore? Well, I have two names to put to you on this one. Those names are Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro. Chavez was the president of Venezuela between about 1991 and 2001, I believe it is, when he died of cancer. After which Nicolas Maduro took over and still is the president of Venezuela to this date. The one thing that Chavez did, though, he nationalized all the businesses, so that included the petroleum producers. Then, in probably one of the dumbest economic moves in history, Chavez replaced the petroleum exploration experts in the nationalized petroleum company with his own cronies, and all of the expertise fled the country. And to this day, many of those individuals are still in the Katy West Houston region. And so yes, so you have a communist takeover of a government to blame for Katyzuela. And these people they're here legally to provide their, deep shelf expertise in petroleum exploration to American companies. And you're thinking to yourself, how can anybody be this stupid? Well, dictatorships and dictators can be pretty stupid. I have an entire litany of history of dictators being stupid. Adolf Hitler might have the most stupid actions on the list, but he's hardly the dumbest. Turkmenistan is one example. Vladimir Putin is another classic example of a stupid dictator. So yes, we have Hugo Chavez running off his own petroleum expertise to have high-paying jobs to cronies who couldn't produce. Because they couldn't produce, the budget coffers of the country crashed, which is where they still are to this date. And hence, this whole group of legal Venezuelan immigrants who are sponsored legally, by the way, by those energy corridor companies in Western Houston in the energy corridor, which has created a group of several thousand legal immigrants in the Katy West Houston region. And these individuals, they constitute the third largest concentration of Venezuelan immigrants in the United States. The second largest is the inland Everglades suburbs of Miami. Reasons I don't know on that one. And number one is probably not going to be a shock to anybody, and that's New York City, which is the immigration capital of the United States across the board. I do not know how many people in those areas are here legally, but in Katy, the majority of them are. And they're sponsored by companies that you know, Phillips 66, ExxonMobil, maybe even Chevron nowadays, now that they are in the region. And now they're headquartered in downtown Houston. And what has to be one of the biggest ironies of all time, the new Chevron headquarters in downtown Houston used to be the headquarters of Enron. So Chevron bought the old Enron headquarters in downtown Houston, now serves as their headquarters with all of its trading floors and large-scale opulent headquarters. So they may have some of these immigrants now as well. They're getting on the older side though, and so most of these, skilled immigrants from Venezuela are either past retirement age or close to it, mostly in their 60s at this point, because that would mean that when I was 14 and I lived in the region, most of these petroleum experts were in their mid to late 20s, possibly early 30s in Venezuela, and they lived and operated out of Caracas in that time. So yes, there is a substantial Venezuelan contingent in the Katy West Houston region, and most of them by and large are legal, and they contribute to the energy independence of the United States, all because their dictator was an idiot, drove them out. And of course, if they can't use their expertise there, they're going to find somewhere else where they can, and they did. They use them in the Houston Energy Corridor. They reside in Katy, Texas. Why do they reside in Katy? Well, probably for the reasons why most people do. Katy, the foundation of this region is built on its school district, which is the Katy Independent School District, which even when I lived there was known for its very excellent standards. It's why my dad moved us out there. And so the Venezuelan contingent, or the Katyzuelan contingent, is much the same. Katy is largely a very racially integrated city, which means that if you live there, you're not going to find a particular group or block centered in any section of the city or region. The Katyzuelans are a notable exception. They're focused in a upper middle class area, which is called Cinco Ranch, which was developed in the years immediately after my departure in the late 80s. Continued to be developed into the mid 2000s. It's a large development with about 20,000 residents. Master planned, high amenities, pools with wave pools, artificial beaches, massive clubhouses, and things of that nature. And so Cinco Ranch is where the Katyzuelan contingent largely lives, but they can be scattered across the city and region, which of course is a region of just under 500,000 people these days. But they moved there for the same reason we did, which is the school district. The school district is the foundation upon which Katy was built. So they moved there for that reason, because they had families with children at the time. Nowadays these kids are grown, so most of them don't live there anymore. Or if they do, they might follow their parents into the family trade of oil exploration. So this is the story of Katyzuela, the region of Western Houston which is a Venezuelan immigrant population who are there to help America with its energy independence, or as my old acquaintance Doug Burgum likes to call it, energy superiority. He's never been a man who's been shy on aiming high. That was my experience in my acquaintances with him. I did not know Doug Burgum enough to know his cell phone number or his pager number as it was at the time, but crossed paths enough to at least have some conversations. He's always been that kind of a guy. So energy superiority, these immigrants are helping us achieve that. Don't put all immigrants in one bucket. These ones are here legally. These ones are here because the major energy companies of the Houston Energy Corridor want them here. And on a personal level, on a political level, I believe that Trump hiking the H-1B visa fee to $100,000 per year per immigrant, I think is a mistake for this reason, because a lot of those individuals do contribute. They pay taxes, they have social security numbers, and they have the H-1B visas. And they are a key part of our drive for energy independence. And they're helping us get there. So this is the story of the Katyzuelans. This is part 2, Saturday doubleheader for y'all. And I'll be ready with another one tomorrow. We'll see you then, and peace out, homies, as usual.